Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today is day 22, another day of learning and building together. So I'm drifting away from DevOps temporarily. Then I'll get back to the DevOps, I think, tomorrow, where we shall look at one more thing to probably conclude the journey with Terraform and infrastructure as code. So in my plan, I looked at the current implementation of the path operations, and I thought it was smart not only to depend on Amadeus, but also have a record of bookings that are taking place. And I want to create a booking model that is going to be responsible for tracking users who have booked flights. So it will help me to know a user who has booked a flight, okay, as and also together with their flight booking ID or PNR and any other related information. So what I need to do is to go to, I think, flight order, okay, right here. When an order is made, okay. So after the flight order has been created by our service and it's been successful, what I need us to do is to now save it, okay, have a record of this. So before that, I need to show you a sample of this, okay, and how ideally it's supposed to work. So maybe we can test out this endpoint, but even before that, let's get on with building the model. So but we shall get back to this, okay, because we shall need some information from this, okay. And also this, I think, has to change at some point, this implementation. I've just remembered something important. We'll look at it later. There's a point, there's something I'm looking for. I can't find it though. But yeah, this implementation actually has to change. The way it has to work is that you're supposed to pass the flight details directly here without having to do a search and confirming, okay, because ideally the other steps must have been done, okay. We must have done a search using either this path operation or this other one, and then after that we need to confirm the price using this path operation. Then after that, perform the order, okay. After performing the order, down here I need to save, okay, save in a model, in our current booking table, okay. So this is what we're going to do. So what I can do right now is to go to the models.py, and of course I have different models here. There is one for auth, which is empty for now. There's one for bookings, there's one for flights, one for payments, one for tickets, and one for users, okay. So what I'm interested in is the one for bookings, okay. So ideally, to save time, I need to go to the users model rather, okay. And then of course you'll need SQL model and field, okay. I can copy them for now and paste them here. Let's see, what else will I need, okay. Of course this is going to be, I can call it class booking. It looks like AI is being smart. I'll say booking, okay, it can remain booking in DB, but let me just leave it as booking, okay, booking. And this will inherit from, of course, SQL model, and then we shall say table equals to true. so that we use it to persist and represent database tables. Then next, of course, we can take what AI is suggesting. Okay, we shall need an ID, which is an integer, and then we shall say equals to field. So field will help us populate what can we call it? Populate metadata. Okay, and I can say primary key equals to true. Okay, need only one equal sign, and then we can index it. We can have an index on this because we shall be searching. We shall be doing a lot of reading, okay, against the booking IDs. So yeah, and then also I want it to be a UUID, okay. So I'll have this here, okay. So for it to be UUID, I'll import UUID, okay, and then the type will change from int to UID. So I'm so that I'm consistent. If you look at users.py, the type of the ID is UID.UID. So you can have the same thing. You can say UUID.UUID, okay. Then here we can also say default factory equals to UID.UID4, okay. So I come here and I say default factory is equals to UUID.UUID4, like that, okay. And of course, you can also say it is not cannot be null. I can say nullable equals to false. And again, you might be wondering, where am I picking all this from? It's not from my mind. Let me just put this on the next line to make it clearer for you to see. This is not happening just from my mind. You can find all this information actually on the Pynatic website. I mean on the SQLModel website. If I type SQLModel Pynatic, you should be able to see it. Okay, you see it's here. FastAPI and Pynatic intro. I want SQLModel. My search was not. I think it's the same link. Okay, if I expand it, you see they talk about FastAPI, Pynatic, etc. Okay, talk about relationships, but yeah, we're going to actually need this very soon. Okay, but let's go back and continue building. So if you're watching this later after the stream, just know we shall finish the DevOps part tomorrow. This is something I wanted to do, and I had forgotten about it, so I want to get out with it. So a booking can have an ID. After that, we need to know the user, okay, that has booked this, okay, and it will be a foreign key. And you can see AI is making the correct suggestion. So I can say user underscore ID, okay. The type will be UID.UUID, okay, like that, and because to field, not finally, but field, just like AI is suggesting, okay. And like we learned, field helps us give metadata. And this time what we want to specify here is that this is a foreign key, okay. Foreign key equals to, and we can take AI suggestion, okay. User in db.id, okay. What is user in db? User in db is this model, and of course we can change it to something else, okay, as we learn. So you mentioned the model name, the class name, dot the primary key, okay. And in this case, the primary key of this user in db is id. So user in db.id. In this case, we're trying to create a one-to-many relationship that one user can make many bookings, okay. As simple as that. Now, what other field do I need? I need the flight, okay. We can see the AI is giving us a correct suggestion, so I'll take it. Of course, we need the flight order ID, okay, which will be a string, and we can index it, okay. We can index it because we can search for bookings using a flight order ID, okay. for booking using flight order ID. I'm trying to think how this would benefit. Okay, if you had an index on a flight order ID, can a flight order ID be duplicated? So maybe for now, let me just leave this. Okay, not indexed. Okay, and in our case, of course, I can remove the index and I'll just say nullable false. Okay, because the booking must have a flight order ID and must have a user associated with it. So even here I can say explicitly and say nullable equals to false. Okay, then a booking can have a status. Okay, booking for a flight can have a status. So for the status, we need to know whether like the flight has been can I call it, has it been booked, has it been probably cancelled, has it been maybe, has the person maybe, has he cancelled, has it been paid for? So let's say equals to field, it's also be nullable equals to false. Okay, but I can put here default value, default equals to maybe confirmed. Okay, so what I'm thinking about is this: for status, when you book, you've confirmed it. Okay, after confirming, you need that your flight to be issued. Okay, so I'll put here a comment. You can say status could be, so someone can, I'll take, I think, AI suggestions. You can confirm. Okay, you can cancel. It can be pending. I think by default, let me put it as pending. Okay, to make it clearer that this is pending. Okay, so it can be pending, confirmed, or cancelled. So in field, we should be able to have like, can I say like validation whereby we can only allow particular values. Okay, in Django I know how to do it. I'm trying to think about how to do it in FastAPI. So I'm looking at the attributes available. Let me see, they have alias, title, description, exclude, include, const, max digit, unique items, allow mutation. I guess I'll have to search more about this. I can't see anything here I can use to restrict. Okay, so that we can only have one of these. Okay, either pending, confirmed, or cancelled. Okay, so we have an ID. Okay, which will be automatically created for us. After the ID, we have the person who is creating the booking. Then we have the order ID of the flight. Okay, and then we have the status. So I think this is good enough, but there's something I wanted us to see. Okay, when we are dealing with relationships. Okay, I don't know if this page is the right one. I want us, if I go to, I want to scroll relationships. Okay, I'll go to define model relationships. When I scroll, there's something I was reading about here. Okay, yeah, we need to use relationship. Okay, to declare a new attribute. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say from SQL model import relationship, and I'm going to explain in a moment what relationship is, and then what else do I need? So here in this model, okay, what I'm going to do is I am going to, yes, Rohan, how are you doing today? Hey, Rohan, I hope you're doing great. So like you see here, okay, in this example here, on in the documentation, they have a team table and they have a hero table. and then they declare a one-to-many relationship like we have done here, okay, using team ID. So meaning that a hero belongs to a team. Then down here, they import relationship. Rohan, that's good to know that you're doing okay. I'm also doing good today, fairly good. I'm a bit low on energy, but yeah, I have to study and get done with this. Okay. So yeah, wish me good luck. And happy to see you active in the chat. So let's understand this, okay? I read this, I think, yesterday and today, and I understood this. And I want you to understand this so that we can relate it to what we're trying to do here. Okay. Thanks, Rohan. Okay, so let's go here and read it briefly, and then we shall move back here. Okay, so do you understand what I'm trying to do? So you're saying define relationship attributes. Let me expand this so that you can see. So define relationship attributes. Now we are finally in one of the most exciting parts of SQL model relationship attributes. We currently have a team table. So this is the team table, okay, having an ID, a name, and headquarters, 3 columns and 2 rows so far, okay. ID1, the name is preventers, headquarters Sharp Tower, ID2, Z Force, headquarters sister Margaret's Bar, okay. Then they have a hero table, okay, having columns or fields, ID, name, secret name, age, team ID, okay. So this team ID column is referring to this table. So you find that if you see, for example, like this row here, dead bond, it means dead bond belongs to the team Z Force. How do I know that dead bond belongs to the team Z Force? Is because of this team ID here, 2. Okay, so 2 is a foreign key. Okay, what is the foreign key? It is referring to the primary key in this team table. Team ID in the hero in this hero table is pointing or references this team table. Okay, so if I go to Rustyman belongs to team with ID1. Team with ID1 is preventers. Spider Boy belongs to a team with ID 1, which is also preventers. So team with ID 1 has two heroes. And team with ID 2 only has one hero. Okay. So that's what we are trying to achieve. I hope this makes sense to you. Okay. So this is a one-to-many relationship. That one record here, one column here can be associated with many in this other table. So in other words, a team can have many heroes. As simple as that. So I know some of you like Marvel and stuff like that. Yeah, all of the Marvel universe has many heroes, okay, as well as DC. So I don't want to only talk about Marvel and leave out DC. Some guys might be disappointed because I know some of you might be liking DC and other things, okay. So that's how it works. Okay, now they're saying now that you know how these tables work underneath and how the model classes represent them, it's time to add a little convenience that will make many operations in code simpler. Of course, this documentation assumes we read everything prior, okay, before this. But there's actually no need for us to do that, okay, technically. So what they have achieved here so far, how they've achieved here, how they've done this so far is what I'm also trying to do here, okay? I'm trying to make a relationship between this user model and the booking model. I want to establish a one-to-many relationship, okay? And how I do it is simply place a user ID in the what I can call the child table, okay? Because this will mean that a booking is related to a user ID. I mean to a user using the user ID, okay? And I did that using this foreign key attribute in this field, okay? We're saying foreign key is equals to user in db.id. And user in db is simply this. this name of this class, and the ID is this field. All right, let's go into documentation. They're saying declare relationship attributes. They're saying up to now we have only used the team underscore ID column to connect the tables when querying with select. Okay, so but the main point of what I want to show is that this is how they have defined their foreign key. Okay, in the same way, they have a team model and have a hero model. But how they are linking these two is by using an ID field, which will be a column, okay, which is a foreign key. Okay, what does this mean to foreign key? It is being used to link the hero table and the team table. So this team ID will be populated with values that correspond to the ID here. How do I know that? Because I have seen this. They're saying team.id. Team is the name of this table or model, and ID is the column or field in this team model. As simple as that. So in the same thing I did here, okay? Using foreign key equals to user in db.id. The same concept, okay? And the same idea. So let's move on. Now, you see here they're saying this is a plain field like all others, representing a column in the table. So our user ID here is simply a plain text field, okay, representing a column in the table. And then they're saying let's add a couple of new special attributes to these models. Let's add relationship attributes. Now they're saying first import relationship from SQL model. Okay, this is relationship, and that's why you saw me earlier on. I imported relationship up here. Okay, so I'm going to go back and forth between the documentation and our code so that you understand where I'm getting all this from, because I'm also actually learning it, and I'm just reinforcing it. Rohan says, why use SQL model over SQL Alchemy? Actually, Rohan, SQL model is an abstraction of SQL Alchemy. Okay, so SQL model was just repurposed, okay, by the FastAPI creators to suit FastAPI applications, okay, with other things that I can't remember off the top of my head. But under the hood, SQL model is simply a wrapper of SQL Alchemy. You can think of it that way. They used to mention it actually in their documentation. I don't know if they still have it. Let me try to see. They say SQL model. They should mention it somewhere. Aha, now read this, Rohan. You see? They're saying SQL model is based on Python type annotation and powered by Pydantic and SQL Alchemy. Okay, what are the key features? Intuitive to write, okay, easy to use, compatible with FastAPI, Pydantic and SQL Alchemy. So they created it for it to work, for you to think of it as a way of working with SQL Alchemy, but in an easier way with FastAPI. Okay. And so look at this. They say extensible. You have all the power of SQL Alchemy and Pydantic underneath. So I can say SQL model is SQL Alchemy plus Pydantic combined together. As simple as that. Okay. And what I like about it is this: minimizing code duplication. It makes it much shorter than SQL Alchemy, but in many ways the syntax is very similar. Good question, Rohan. I hope that makes sense. If you have a follow-up question, feel free to ask. Let's go ahead. So the importing relationship is saying next use that relationship to declare a new attribute in the model classes. Follow me very closely. I'm heading towards something important. Okay. So when we go here, you see they've used relationship to what they call it back poplets, meaning the reverse relationship. Okay. And we can do the same. Okay. So like here in this booking, we can create an attribute, like for example, for the user. Okay. I can say user is equals to, okay. And for user, of course, we need to specify the type first. Okay. So user type will be user in DB, like what we had earlier. Okay, type and say user in DB like that. Okay, this will ensure that it picks the correct type, okay, from this. But we can actually even import it, okay, to be safe. Let me just say from where is this model? So if you look at this, they're in the same path. I can say from dot users, okay, import user in DB, okay. And instead of doing this in the strings, we just leave it like that. User in DB equals to relationship, okay, and then we say back populates equals to bookings. Coming from a Django background, okay, I find this a lot of work, honestly. Okay, I tried to read about this to find out if there's an easier way of creating what they call reverse relationships, but I was kind of disappointed. I think this is where the Django ORM kind of beats SQL alchemy. I don't know whether it's because I'm new to this or something, but I was like, really, what's going on with these guys? But I guess I'm not new to SQL alchemy and this whole FastAPI ecosystem. But yeah, this is how you define a reverse relationship. What does this mean? In case I had a user, let us say for example I had a user, okay, which is maybe an object, an instance of user in DB, okay. So if I had a user object and I want to get a user's bookings, okay, I would simply say user dot bookings like that, okay. What enables this is this one, this definition here. Now you have to take note that user is not a column in the database, okay. It is not a column in the database, and we are going to look at that in detail soon, okay. It's actually a full, can I call it, it's a full object, okay. It's referring to this object of the user in DB class. This is what user refers to. It will not be a column in the database. So I'll remove that for now. And let's continue and read this and see what they did. So if you look at this, they have heroes, okay? And it's a list of heroes. This is the type annotation, okay? And the same relationship, back couplets, team, okay? Meaning you can say hero dot team, okay? So this allows you to refer to a hero from to a team using the hero. Because of this, I can say hero dot team, okay? Then we have another one here. Team type annotation is team or none, meaning it is optional, it can be none. And relationship is to heroes. It back populates, meaning reverse relationship. Okay. So if you come back here, they actually explain what they are. Okay. Let's watch and see what they say. Now they're saying, what are these relationship attributes? They're saying these new attributes are not the same as fields. They don't represent a column directly in the database. And their value is not a singular value like an integer. Their value is an actual entire object that is related. So in the case of a hero instance, you can call hero.team and you'll get the entire team instance object that this hero belongs to. So why hero.team? Okay. If I say hero.team, okay, we're given the entire team instance. Okay. Just like in our case, if we say booking.user, we get the entire user object. Okay. So let's continue. So they give me an example here. You can check if there's if a hero.team exists, then you can print the name. So let me see. You're saying in the team class, heroes attribute is with the hero list because, okay, let me just leave this. I think we've got the point. And actually, Rohan, look at this. Okay, let's read it. Let's read everything, okay? Just so that I don't assume everybody has understood, okay? So they're saying, for example, you could check if a hero belongs to any team. If a team is not none, then print the team's name. And that's what this code is doing. Then here they say relationship attributes or none. They're saying notice in the hero class, the type annotation for team is team or none. So if you come up here, it is team or none, okay? But in our case, here in our code, we don't need that. All of them are required, okay? And then they say this means that the attribute could be none or it could be a full team object. And we have done this over and over again, especially when we're learning FastAPI. Now they're saying this is because the related team ID could also be none or null in the database. Then they're saying if it was required for a hero instance to belong to a team, then the team ID would be int instead of int or none. Its field would be field foreign key equals to team.id instead of field default. Yeah, they're just trying to explain the difference between something being optional and something being required. So to make it optional, you use none, okay, like this. If you want it to be mandatory, don't include none in your type annotation. So this is what they call a union. And if you don't know about this, please watch the playlist where we studied FastAPI in 31 days. Then now I'm going to hear they talk about relationship attributes with lists. Okay, they're saying in the team class, heroes attribute is annotated as a list of hero objects because that's what it will have. So if you go up back here, you see we have heroes, which is annotated as a list of hero attributes. Okay, a one-to-many relationship. Then if we continue reading, they're saying SQL model, actually SQL alchemy. Okay, so I think Rohan, you see what I was telling you, that SQL model is simply an abstraction of SQL alchemy. So they're saying SQL model, actually SQL alchemy is smart enough to know that the relationship is established by the team ID, as that's the foreign key that points from the hero table to the team table. So we don't have to specify that explicitly here. Okay, so yeah, make sure you read this on your own. Let's go ahead, I think, and do one for ourselves. So I think I made a mistake. Did I make a mistake? No, he didn't make a mistake in our code. So if you look at this, okay, this is okay. We have booking.user, and again, user will not be a it will not be, what is it called? It will not be a field or a column in the database. Simply an attribute to help us find out what a user, who the users of a booking are, who the user of a booking is. Okay, and SQL alchemy or SQL model will be smart enough to know that the relationship is using the user ID. So we need to do something similar for the user here. Okay, so for the user here, I can have a relationship attribute. Okay, I can call it booking. Okay, so like if you see in this example, they used plural. So even here I can come and say the user can have bookings. I'll say bookings. Okay, full colon. Okay, then I see the type actually they're giving us, can I call it, AI is giving us correct suggestions. Okay, so I can follow along it carefully. This should be a list of booking. Okay, but in our case it has to be this. Okay, list of booking, that's okay. And then what else? Relationship, we need to import relationship. Okay, so I'll say comma relationship like that. And what does it back populate to? Okay, so if you look at this example, it back populates to the same model name. Okay, so this user could be wrong. We have to say user in DB. Okay, so I just copy this and paste that there. I think actually it will be lowercase, okay? Should be lowercase. User in DB like that. And I'm starting to think why I kept this, call it user in DB. I should probably just call it user, but let me leave it for now like that, okay? So what else do we need here? But this type is going to give us issues, okay? We need to import it. So from booking, import booking. I don't think we need these quotes anymore. I can just leave it like that, okay? In case of anything, we shall debug. So now let me see. Okay, we have a booking model. We have the user model. User in db.bookings. Okay, will give us what we need. Booking dot user backpopulates to bookings. Okay, and user in db.booking backpopulates to this. Okay, so I think that's okay. So what I need to do is to go to the route. Okay, I think in this route, I'm going to import this model. Okay, in the routes here. Because of taking some time away from this, I think my mind is kind of forgetting the folder structure of this. I may need even to improve it, but let's go and import it. I'll say from backend dot models. Okay, looks like it knows what we want. Okay, dot bookings import the booking model. Okay, that's what we need. So down here, after getting our response, after creating a flight order, what we need is now to do this. Okay, come here and save a booking. Okay, you can say booking would be equals to booking. And again, where do you think I'm getting this from? Okay, it's not coming from, let us say, a magical one in my head. It's coming from the documentation. If you go to the documentation of SQLModel and scroll, okay, and we go to the next page, it says create and update relationships. You'll see how they're doing it. Okay, they create an object, okay, and then populate it with the correct values. Okay, then the session.add, then session.commit. As simple as that. So we can also do the same thing. Okay, actually, if you scroll down, you'll see how they populate the IDs. If I can see, should be somewhere. I think now here when how they populate the IDs, they pass the entire instance. Okay, so team equals to this. In our case, I think we can do the same thing. But I wanted to show you, I think this team ID, they pass their team ID. Okay, it's a team first.id. So we can either do that, okay, or we can use the relationship attributes. Okay, so what I can do is this. From the booking, since the booking model has a user, okay, I can come here quickly and say user will be equals to this current user. Okay, the current user who has logged in. I'll say current user like that. Okay, then what else do we need? We need now the, let me see, we need the, we put the user ID, we now need the flight order ID. Okay, flight order ID equals to AI is suggesting response to data.id. Okay, status. Let me first leave the status for now. I want to think about one field at a time. So if it is saying data.id, we need to be sure what is the response type. Okay, now you see I made a mistake. Okay, when I was creating this mode, I didn't have something like, for example, coming here to say maybe response model, okay, equals to something. Okay, there was no annotation for the response model, and this is something I will need to work on soon. Okay, but we can find out what the flight or the ID is, okay? And then after that, we need to populate the status, okay? So when you, I want the status to be confirmed only when someone pays, okay, for it. So I'm going to leave the status to be default, to be pending, okay? I'll not populate it. I'll not populate it. Then next thing, the user, okay, we're done with this. Of course, if someone had paid, would come here and say status equals to confirmed, okay? But I'll not do this because I want it to only be confirmed when you've paid. So I'm going to leave that, okay? Then maybe we can print the booking, okay? Print the booking. We can print booking dot user like that. Also, just to prove to you that things are okay, we can print the current user dot bookings, okay? This should work because of the back poplets and stuff like that. So, but before that, I want to make sure that everything else works. So let us run this project, docker compose app. So you see we have an issue. It says cannot import name user in DB from partially imported module. Backend.models users, most likely due to a circular import. So this is being complained about in here, okay? Bookings.model this, okay? So to avoid a circular import, makes things simple. I'm going to do this. I hope this works for these guys of FastAPI. Let me try it. If I just wrap it in quotes like that, I hope they'll be able to figure out what that is. Another way is another short. Can I call it a shorthand or what they call them? Trick, okay? How I would make it easier to bypass it for now would be to copy this, okay, and go to users, okay, and just paste it here like that, okay. But let me remove it. No need for that. And I guess the circular import was happening because we're importing the user model, the user in DB here, but again the user in DB was importing the booking model. So circular import error. So we have this working. Let's now test out things, okay? Let's test out things. I need to open. Come on, what is happening? Let's open Postman. Postman. Okay. Here we are. We have some. I need to save this. Delete this. Delete this. Delete this. Then we're looking for flight order. Okay. So try to send a request. Okay. We get it says could not validate credentials. Okay. Unauthorized, which is okay. That is expected. Okay. Because we are not authorized. So to authorize, we come here. Okay. To log in. So we have this user here, user at example.com, and we have string as the password. We have an internal server error. The students see. Says SQL Alchemy mapper booking has no property user in DB. Okay, now this is me. Let's say later on, I was trying to wrap my head around how SQL Alchemy and this whole SQL model thing works. Okay, because it's actually quite different from how Django maps their reverse relationships. So let's say the model booking, go to the model booking. We need to understand, I need to understand this error, okay? It has no property user in DB. If this property was indicated from other mappers or configure events, ensure register.config has been called. Okay, so what we have, if we go to this, if we go to users, okay, they're saying booking doesn't have a property user in DB. So let me go back to the documentation just to make sure that my understanding matches with what they are talking about. When they had, where is it? When they had their heroes, okay, they're saying hero backpopulates to team. Oh, I now get it. Guys, it now makes sense. I'm starting to appreciate bugs. So when you're backpopulating, okay, this attribute refers to an attribute in this model. This model hero is this one. And it has an attribute team, which is this one. Oh, yeah, now I get it. I was getting confused. Okay. Ideally, what I thought was this. Let me show you. I thought that this value here is the table name because I was seeing here team and team. So I was getting confused. I'm like, how are these guys of SQL Alchemy dealing with their reverse relationships? Because in Django it's kind of like seamless, easier to understand it. But now it's actually the concept is the same. I've realized it right now. It's the same. So what this has to be, okay? It has to backpopulate to this field here, user. Okay. So here I can simply say user, which means actually AI was right earlier, if you remember. AI was right. It's me who's the issue. Interesting. Yeah. But it's good to fail. Good to fail and learn. Now this makes sense, that user dot bookings, okay, but the reverse relationship would be user, okay, meaning booking dot user would be valid, just like user in db dot bookings is valid, but booking dot user is also valid. Then we go to bookings, we have booking dot user, okay, but also user dot bookings is also valid, which is the reverse relationship. So from the booking model, the direct relationship is booking.user. Correct. Then the reverse relationship from here is user.bookings. If you go to users, Rohan says failing makes your learning strong. Correct, Rohan. That's very correct. You put it well. So here we have user.bookings, direct relationship in this model. Then booking.user, the reverse relationship. Okay. Let's try to log in, and again you see. And one thing I've discovered, I've not yet, ever since we began doing this stuff of SQL model and whatever, we haven't had to run migrations. Is it doing migrations on its own? Because in the Django world, I would have to migrate and run migrations. I'm pretty curious. But anyway, I won't pinch myself because it's a learning process. So let's go back to Postman. Send the request. Oh, there we are. So we have the access token. Okay. So again, if you missed learning about this, make sure you watch the past the past videos. I don't know, maybe it was either day 6, between day 2 and day 10, we did this. You can check the playlist. So I'll copy this. Rowan says you can auto migrate with Alembic library. Okay, let me first Google this library. That's why I love learning in public. So I guess they do it for us, okay? Because if you noticed, I made changes to the models, okay? And I didn't have to do anything, okay? Look at this AI overview. They're saying Alembic is a database migration tool for SQL Alchemy. Okay, just confirming what Rohan has told us. So if you go to this Alembic library, we have it here, okay? So this is something to study. But I'm happy that they did it for us, okay? Because ideally, nothing's supposed to work, okay? If you look at, if I want to scroll carefully into these logs to see something which would indicate, I want to look at something that could indicate a database table. Aha, look at this, guys, okay? Look at this. Wow, I've lost it again. I want to show you. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I had seen. I should be able to just search. Say booking. Aha. I see the table. When this table was created, it has booking on it. So I'm guessing they did it for us. Okay. But we're going to have to prove it very soon. And we have, I want to show you something. If we go to, should be, there's a place, there's a file. I'm not starting to forget what we did. There's a file we have where our database is initialized for us. If I go to main.py, we have this function initdb, okay? So initdb, I see in this SQL model metadata.create all, okay? So I think this is what is responsible for creating all the database schema for us. We don't have to do anything. I think this does the magic for us. And of course, if you have more experience with SQL model, please let me know. But I'm going to read more about this in my free time. But I think this is what this creates all tables, and I think if you create a new table or modify a column, this is the statement that handles it for us. Okay. Yeah, that it makes sense to me actually. It's the one. So let me close this. Go back. Send the request to our access token. So if I copy, I can go to environments, Rebound Ventures. What's this again? These are showing me. So this value, I need to change this value to a new value like that. Okay. Minimize this. Rohan says I'm right. Okay. We are two who agree we are right. I'm glad that there's a second person agreeing with me. If you disagree with us, please let us know. Okay. We are here to learn. We could learn something from you. But if you think you agree with us, please, you can let us know. Let me know in the chat. Okay. So now we are done with logging in. We have the token. If I send the request here, okay, this should now work. Okay. You should be able to get a flight order. Okay. It's been interesting learning in public. I'm seeing a kind of like a tint in the video. Is it because of the kind of lighting I've put? Let me try to adjust it so it's clearer for you. Okay, now here we have, I hope it gets better. So we have now an internal server error. Okay, looks like you can't separate me from bugs. But of course, like, our work is to solve them. So let's go to the code. Where's the code? Okay. Let's look at the terminal to see what went wrong. Minimize this. Okay. Yeah. And I guessed it. Remember when I was skeptical about what AI was giving us? Says flight order equals response to data.id. I was very skeptical about it. Okay. But I just want to show that everything else works fine. What I'm going to do is to come back here. Okay. Just comment out this. Okay. Comment out that like that. So it has been automatically saved. Let us first confirm the actual attributes that we get done. Ahish Money is asking, why are you not using Firebase? Please, I hope I pronounced your name correctly, your first name, but I think I can just call you Money. Let me know if Money is also the correct pronunciation. You're asking, why am I not using Firebase? So for those of you who don't know Firebase, Firebase is a tool, okay? A cloud storage provided by Google, okay? And I learned about it when I used to create mobile apps back then, Android mobile apps, and using Java, using Flutter, and I used to use Firebase a lot. And so man is asking, why am I not using Firebase? And I'm now using something like, I'm using actually Postgres SQL. That's his question, okay? So first of all, you have to know that Firebase is actually a document-based database, okay? And what I'm using Postgres is a relational database, okay? Where you have traditional tables with columns and rows, okay? And I want to have fine-grained like control over what I'm doing, okay? I want to be able to know that this table. So ideally, why I'm using a relational database, which is Postgres, is because my data is directly like related. Okay, you have like a user directly related to a booking. Okay, and that is very easy to relate using what relational databases. And of course, I'm not saying it is difficult to. Just a moment, I have here a distraction. Okay, I'm done with it. So I was saying Firebase, okay, and helps you to store like document kind of information, okay, where you have like a collection, okay, a collection of documents, okay. So you have like, so you think of a JavaScript object, okay. Let me show you briefly before we continue. So you have some, you saw things like this. You have like key value pairs. So you can have, let me say, like name, okay, with the name. Okay, let me just do what AI is doing like this, okay. Then email like that, okay. Then you can have this called like a document, okay. Then you can have like a collection of these, okay. So when you have many of them, it's called a collection, okay, in something like MongoDB, okay. And you can now use like, can I call them, do they call them IDs? Okay, these collections have IDs, okay. They have IDs. You make relationships using IDs, or use nesting, okay, and stuff like that, okay, in Firebase and in and what is it called, MongoDB, or similar things, okay. So number one, why I want Postgres SQL is because I am going to have direct control over my data, its storage and infrastructure, okay. With Firebase, I don't have control over the infrastructure, okay. So if you look at, for example, like here, let me show you my Docker file. Okay, where's the Docker file? Docker compose.yaml. Okay, I've defined the database myself. Okay, it's an image, it's a Postgres image. Okay, and I have total control. Hi Jericho, long time. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, of course I remember you. Come on, how can I forget you? I have chicken memory, but it's not typical chicken memory. I can remember. If you had taken long, if you had taken like an extra day, I think I would have forgotten you. But you're lucky. You came back within the limit of my memory. So yeah, just to finish answering Manny's question. Okay, with Postgres I have control. Okay, over the like you can see here volumes. Okay, I have control over the infrastructure for my database. Okay, with Firebase it is controlled by Google. In case Google decides to do what they want to do, I am screwed. Okay, I can't I can't do anything. Okay, another thing which is related to what I just told you. Okay, I can do because I have control over my database. Okay, I can do custom scaling. Okay, I can build my own custom scaling solution. Okay, Postgres is open source. Okay, which eliminates things like license fees. If I don't have to deal with licenses of Firebase. Okay, of course, hosting still occurs costs. Okay, you cannot say that. Okay, but the pricing model with Postgres SQL I can say it's generally more predictable than Firebase's usage billing. Okay, which can be less transparent, especially for high scale applications. Okay, plus even Postgres is more mature and stable. Okay, it is a long-standing, widely adopted RDBMS. Okay, compared to Firebase. Okay, and and what and like I told you, my first reason is because an RDBMS like Postgres excels with structured data which is normalized. Okay, remember in this booking solution which I'm working on. Okay, my data is structured. If you look at it, if you look at my models here, booking model and the user in DB model, it is structured. In fact, that's the first reason. Okay, why you would go for things like Firebase, no SQL like MongoDB. Okay, is when you're dealing with unstructured data. In fact, that should be the first reason. Okay, of course, not for all of you, but for me, if I was to choose between Postgres and Firebase, okay, I would first ask myself, is my data structured? If my data is structured, Postgres. If my data is unstructured, Firebase. Okay, so right now my data is structured. I'm going to use Postgres. Okay, then again, I'll ask concerning control of my infrastructure. Okay, do I need to have absolute control? Postgres gives me that. Okay, and it's open source, by the way. I can do whatever I want. I can scale in any direction. Okay, I have my data ownership. Okay, I know how to deal with the data privacy. Firebase, bro, I can't tell you how these guys use your data. Okay, I don't know what they use the data for. You can't really know. Okay, we have heard of conspiracies where people tell you, oh, your data is secure. Then after 5 years, they tell you, oh, so and so has been arrested, and you wonder, but oh, for all these 5 years, you told us you're keeping our information private. How comes now you're arresting someone over data privacy issues? Okay, so to avoid all that, I want to go with my Postgres. Man, I hope that makes sense. Jericho says structured data is better to handle with MySQL or even Postgres. Yes, correct. Actually, for this project, going with either Postgres or MySQL wouldn't hurt. Okay. And better with Postgres, you can also work with unstructured data if you know how Postgres properly. Okay. Maybe I'll show you that soon. Okay, let me just wait. It was just like, can I call it just a way away from what we're talking about? Okay, let's go back to finish this. So you see, I made a request for a flight to book a flight. Okay, I see what we got. We got a flight order, okay, with an ID, okay. Then ID, we have associated records, we have flight offers, okay. So what we want is this ID here, okay. Let me see. But then when we came here, okay, when we came, where is it? Where's our path operation? I want to remove this, okay. When we said flight order is equals to response.data.flight order, we got an issue, okay. It said response.data does not exist, okay. And we just need to what? To pick this ID, okay. So one way I always do is simply come here and print the attributes, okay. You can say print, you can reprint, you can print the response, okay. And you can say dir response, okay. So just hit send. Jericho, you've been lost. Where have you been hiding? So I'll go to the terminal. Okay, here we are. Of course, I can show in Postman that all is okay. It's working. But then we need to see those attributes, okay? Just to show you the basic way of debugging. In fact, this is in a better way. So if we look at, you see, we have here the type, we have the type, flight order ID, the ID, okay? And then we've got the attributes, we get them, okay? So all I need to do, of course, I do not read all through this to bore you, okay? But just to show you that we have the ID we are looking for, which is here. So what I can do here, I can uncomment this and say flight order like this. ID, response ID is what we want, okay? And then, yeah, we can print out the booking, can print the booking.user, you can print booking.current bookings. So I can just separate this with just some random hashes like that. Come here, replicate the same. In fact, we don't need it. I can remove all this, add it here, okay? But we need to save it, okay? If we go to the other documentation of SQL Alchemy, if you remember, I've not, there's something missing, okay? If you're keen, I'm supposed to say, I need the session, okay? I need the session, okay? And would need the session here, okay? But let's first do this before we get into that. Hit send. As it's executing that, I need to show you, we need the endpoint. The endpoint concerning users is going to teach us something. So are you seeing this session, this dependency is what we're going to need here. So is this done? Let us see, scroll to the bottom. Okay, so you see everything is okay. Okay, we get, if I scroll, we first of all print a booking, okay, and we see that the booking has a flight order here, very successful. We see that we have a UID, which is the user ID, and we have a status, the default status of pending, even without us populating it here. We get the status pending, okay. If you go to booking.user, it is also populated. We see the email of the user, we see the UID, okay, and we see the hashed password, okay. Then what else? Current user.bookings, okay. Where is that? Why is it not printing that? I think, yeah, because the current user has no bookings, so it makes sense. It has not been saved yet. Are you seeing this? An empty list, okay. But let us save it, okay. so that we actually fetch them. So just like we did for the users here, okay, to save, we need a session, okay? We need to get session so that later we can now do actual saving, okay? So I can copy all this, okay? Because I'm lazy and I want to save time, paste there, come up here, we need to get session. And then we need depends is already there. We need that session type. This one is this is what I'm looking for. Where did from SQL model import session. So I just need to add it here. From SQL model import session. Okay, that will be okay. Rohan says we need to also create response models with Pynatic for the endpoints. Yes, that is necessary. Actually, Rohan, if you look at some of them, okay, for example, like in shopping, we have a response model for this one. Okay, this one we don't have a response model. This one has a response model. Okay, this one has a response model. So we need to put response models for all. Okay, that's correct, Rohan. It will make our API more robust. So some have, some don't have, but I think I'll put that probably offline. I don't need to put it during a session like this to save time and we deal with other topics. So now, just like we did for the users, okay, using this authenticate user method, okay. Was it this one or not? We did it somewhere. I think, was it in create? Not login. What I'm looking for is register. Look at register. Are you seeing this? Create user. Okay. Look at create user. We say session.add user, session.commit, session.refresh. Okay. So I want to do the same thing for flights here. I mean for booking. Okay. So I'll say session.add booking. I'll take the autocomplete, then session.commit. Okay. Then you can even refresh. Okay. So ideally the same logic, okay, that we have here when we're doing for the user. I wanted to show you that it is similar, okay, and we can actually create a function, a simple function like this, okay, to do that. But maybe we can do that later when we are refactoring, okay. A function maybe called create booking that takes in all this information, okay. But yeah, we can keep it here for now. It doesn't hurt. So what I'm interested in is seeing current user.bookings. So let's save. I mean, let us execute this again. There's actually so many things we can do while implementing this kind of thing. Ideally, you'll have to even write a unit test if you're doing something like TDD. Sometimes when I think even a stream should be at most probably, can I say 30 minutes, it ends up going into an hour and more. So yeah, Rohan, I'll ensure I do that. Okay, I'll ensure I do that. So if we scroll down here to the bottom, okay, we see, okay, this is going by what we printed. I think we began by printing a booking. Or can I locate that? I wish I had the actual names, okay? So you see we have this record, okay? We have a user ID, okay? Yeah, this is actually the booking. User ID. We have a flight order ID, okay? Then the ID of the booking and its status, which is correct. Then also down here, we have now the user. This is now the user, okay? Then after that, the booking. Now finally we have a book. Are you seeing this? This we have now a booking. Finally, this one here. Current user dot bookings is this here. Okay. See, we have a booking instance which is made up of a user ID, okay, a flight order ID, and an ID. And of course, its status, which is pretty cool. So I just wanted you to see how it works. Okay. Yeah. And I think doing session.add.commit.refresh is a bit of more work. Okay. A bit of more work compared like to Django, but I'll take it. Okay. I don't know whether I need to refresh here. Okay, I don't need to refresh it. Maybe I need to read about what refreshing does. But I thought refreshing helps you to pick the latest value from the database, which has just been added. Okay, but I don't need to do that. So I can simply add and commit. Okay, so I think that is it. Okay, so that is it. I think yeah, we're good for now. Create order, response, booking. Yeah, that's okay. I think so far. So now what we did, we simply created our booking model here. If I go back here, we created a booking model. Okay, this booking model is an SQL model. Okay, and is a table. We're going to represent our database tables. To do that, we say table equals to true. It has an ID, okay, which is of type UID, and by default it will be populated, okay, for us, and the values will be UID false. Okay, it's going to be a primary key. We have an index on this ID. Why? Because we shall be searching a lot by its ID, and it should not be null. Then we have a one-to-many relationship between a booking and a user, and we're doing that using the user ID. Okay, and of course you're saying this is a foreign key, and it will be to the user in db.id table, user in db.id. Then nullable should not be null. Okay, then the booking should track the flight order ID. Okay, and it should not be null, but it will be a string. Take note that user ID must be a UID. So this type should always match the type here. Okay, always not take note of that. And then the status is pending by default, should not be null. When someone pays, it will be confirmed. Later on, someone can cancel it. Then the user relationship here is simply an object which will, if it's a property or an attribute which will represent this entire user class. Okay, and we shall use it to get the user from a booking. So if you have a booking and you want to know the user related to that booking, use this field here. Okay, the same thing when you're in the user's model. Okay, if you have a user instance and you want to get their bookings, you refer to this attribute bookings. As simple as that. So user in DB user.bookings would give you a user's bookings. Then booking.user would give you the user of a particular booking. Okay. Then simply backpocket refers to reverse relationship. So this value here backpocket should be a value, okay, in this user model. So if you go to user model, we have bookings here. Okay. And the same way, backpocket equals user is also defining another reverse relationship. Meaning, when you go to the booking model, we should have a value called user, which is this. Okay. So it's kind of like a cycle. Okay. In other words, when you're in the user model, how do you refer to a user's bookings? We use the bookings attribute, which is this one. Then also when you're in a booking model, how do you refer to a user? You use the user attribute, which is this one. As simple as that. So after recruiting those two models, what did we do? Of course, we had some debugging here and there, but then we came and in this flight order. After creating your flight order and it is successful, we populate the current user, okay, whom we get from this dependency. Again, if you don't know what dependencies are, please watch the playlist where we studied FastAPI for 31 days. Then you pass the flight order ID. There's no need to pass the status because by default it's pending. You've just created your order. Okay, when you pay us, we confirm it. Okay, then it's a session.add. Then we commit the transaction to the Postgres database and simply return our response. Of course, later we shall do things like sending emails, etc. Okay, but for now we can keep it as simple as it is. So I've enjoyed this session. Tomorrow we're going to go back to Terraform and conclude, do like a mini conclusion of Terraform. Okay, but there's a lot more on DevOps coming because now I want to work towards wrapping up the MVP and actually test it on the market. Okay, I want to test it with the CEO of the company so that this thing becomes functional. Okay, and I'll walk you through all that journey as I test it with the people at the office. Okay, so I want to get done with DevOps tomorrow temporarily, then move ahead quickly to finish up other features and then integrate the front end. Yeah, I think that is it. So what I need to do here right now is to commit. Okay. If I commit, I can maybe quickly say git status, maybe git diff to be sure about the changes. Okay, the booking model, user in DB, dependency. Okay, I think this is okay. Who can give me a good commit name? Can I say git commit minus m? Is this a feature? It's a feature. Let me just do it as a feature. I can always amend this commit and say track. When I say track user bookings in booking table. Okay, so we have failed a check. Okay, so two files have been reformatted. So what we need to do is to so like you see here, this has been reformatted, okay, which is okay. Even I think this is the side. If we go to even here, users has been reformatted. This line was reformatted, okay, by the rough formatter which we set up very early. So if you don't know about rough, okay, please watch the first 3 videos or 4 that we began in this series. So I'll stage again, then commit. So if there's an issue, you cannot commit, okay, it will always fail. Says it has still failed. Says undefined name user in DB. Wow. But doing that would mean we have, let me go back there. We have a what they call a circular import. Okay, I don't know how to skip this. Okay, anybody with an idea? Okay, for now I can remove it. Okay, just remove it, but I'll have to maybe read more about that. I see time is fast spent. So is key error user. Test bookings. Okay, talking about test bookings. All right, let's do this. Let me see if I can trick it, okay? Then try to fix it later. From backend dot, okay, models dot users import user in DB. But this is not how it's supposed to be actually. Trust me when I tell you that. Cool. Are you seeing this? Cannot import user in DB from partially initialized models dot due to a circular import. Exactly. This is what I was talking about. We shall always have a circular import if I tried to import this at the top. Okay. Because you find here bookings is being imported. Okay. Then again here you're importing user in DB. That causes a circular import. All right, friends. My mind is tired. I've been here for almost 1.5 hours. Okay. We have achieved what we wanted to do. We are able to save and track user bookings. I'll figure this out later and show you in the next stream. Okay. What I just need to figure out the type annotation. Okay. So what I need to do is actually to remove this. Okay. I need to figure out how to correctly annotate this and we'll be good to go. So thank you everybody for watching and learning with me. Yeah, so you see, sometimes you may do things correctly, have your feature working, but your linter fails you. Okay, but this is a good thing. Okay, this is a good thing. It's going to help me to learn and to know how to deal with RAF, and by understanding how RAF works, it will help me to write better code. Okay, so there we are with our app. Maybe if I do one more check, run this, just to make sure, or just to show that everything is actually okay. Does FastAPI auto generate these errors? No, it's not FastAPI, Rohan. It's in terminal. Yeah, it gives us the errors automatically in the terminal. Okay, but what you saw me trying to fix earlier was a linting issue. Okay, so you see, yeah, we can still book our flights. We have a 200. Okay, okay, and yeah, the booking is saved. Okay, I just need to figure out how to correctly annotate this. Okay, so that it can pass the rough check and allow me to commit. Okay, otherwise if I don't do that, rough will never allow me to push to GitHub, and that's a good thing. So what you saw was from a linter called rough. Let me show you, Rohan, what you look at. I think this pre-commit, we have a rough check. Okay, so we have a pre-commit hook, this hook that runs before anything is committed to make sure that everything linting is okay and our tests are passing. Okay, that's what I try to do. All right, friends, thank you for learning together with me. See you in the next stream where we shall be having like a mini pause on, let's say a pause on Terraform, okay? So that we go on other things and finish it and finish the MVP. Thank you, Rohan, for being active. Thank you, Mane, for your questions. Thank you, Jericho, for showing up after a long time. Bye for now and meet you in the next stream tomorrow. Good night too, Rohan.